J-Rocc has come back to YouTube.
Well, that's right, baby. J-Rocc is here. It is time for the great one, the YouTube people channel. Oh, to do another reaction, baby. Let us pause and let's show some love to the subscriber of the day, the one and only Ty Little. Ty Little, you have subscribed to the most electrifying YouTuber in all of YouTube Mint. And so J-Rocc wants to show you some love, and he says, hey, big time. Go and electrify like only you can, because can't nobody do it like you, baby, all right? J-Rocc appreciates that. We're about to check out this video of the greatest artist of all time. And it's not even close. It is the one, the only, the king of pop, Michael Jackson. We're going to take a little stroll down memory lane here. And we're going to talk about how Thriller changed the music industry. That's right, baby. Coming from this channel called, what's this? Creole Records. All right. And they're going to tell us just exactly what Thriller did to the music industry. Now, look, if you weren't around when Michael Jackson was in his prime, then you really don't truly understand exactly how huge Michael Jackson was. What Michael Jackson did to the music industry. He became bigger than Elvis. He became bigger than the Beatles, Elton John. All right, his album Thriller to this day is still selling. Okay? And the album came out, what, 40, 50 years ago? That's how long it's been. Like 40 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. That's when Thriller came out. And it's still selling. That's how big time Michael Jackson was and still is to this day. Okay? And so, like I said, if you were not around, if you didn't see Michael, you didn't experience what Michael Jackson and who he was, come on, let's take a stroll down memory lane, baby. It is show time.
There is Michael Jackson.
Thriller, Michael Jackson. Thriller, Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
They got tired of him because he was just winning everything.
Michael Jackson didn't just drop an album in 1982, he detonated a cultural bomb. Thriller wasn't just music. It was a movement. A moment in time that split music history in two, before Thriller and after. It shattered records, changed television, and flipped the music industry upside down. But how exactly did one album become the most important pop release in history? Let's break it down. Before Thriller, Michael Jackson was already a star. Off the Wall had been a commercial and critical hit, with 4 top 10 singles and over 10 million copies sold.
Yeah.
By all industry standards, he had arrived. But Michael didn't feel like a star. He felt invisible. At the 1980 Grammys, Off the Wall was snubbed, just one major award. And to Michael, that wasn't just a loss. It was a message. A message that no matter how brilliant, how original, how groundbreaking he was, he'd always be boxed in. Just another pop act. Just another black artist. He was crushed. In interviews, he didn't hide the hurt. It was a slap in the face. It hurt me so bad. It was totally unfair. But instead of folding, Michael turned that pain into fuel. Quietly, obsessively, he started planning something bigger. Something that couldn't be ignored. Something that would make everyone listen. He told his manager, his producers, anyone who would listen, I want this to be the biggest selling album ever. It sounded impossible. No black artist had ever crossed that threshold.
Nope.
The charts were still segregated, radio stations still divided by race and genre.
Yep.
But Michael wasn't interested in limits. He wanted to tear them all down. He became relentless. He studied sound, visuals, marketing, choreography. He watched movies obsessively, pulling inspiration from horror, fantasy, Broadway musicals. He was
Y'all got to understand that before the Thriller video hit, which was basically like a mini movie, videos for the most part were just artists, just kind of singing their songs and dancing on a stage, right? You may have some effects here and there, but for the most part, that's what the majority of the videos were. When Thriller dropped with the whole, choreography, the whole, haunted theme, and everything that Michael did with that, it literally changed how artists did videos. Like, I'm not joking. It literally changed the way artists did choreography in videos. Chris Brown, Usher, NSYNC, Genuine, like you name it. That's Michael. Michael did that. Let's get back to it.
Wasn't just writing songs, he was designing an experience. And he wasn't afraid to push everyone around him. Engineers, producers, dancers, even Quincy Jones. He'd record 30 takes of a single line. He'd rehearse one dance move for days. Every breath, every beat, had to be perfect. Michael wasn't trying to make a good album. He was trying to make history, and he knew that meant rewriting every rule the industry had. To change music forever, Michael had to change how it sounded. And he wasn't interested in fitting into a category. He wanted to build his own universe. The plan? Take every genre he loved, every sound that moved him, and fuse them into something the world had never heard before. And to do it, he teamed up again with Quincy Jones, the only producer who could match his ambition. What they created was radical. Thriller didn't just dip into genres, it obliterated the lines between them. The album opens with Wanna Be Startin' Somethin', a 6-minute explosion of funk, Afrobeat, and paranoia. The lyrics are cryptic. The rhythm is relentless. The energy? Unstoppable. Then comes Beat It, a track that almost didn't happen. Michael had a vision, bring a hard rock edge to a pop song. And not just any rock. He wanted fire. He wanted danger. So Quincy called up Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah,
The result?
man.
A searing, unforgettable guitar solo that turned Beat It into a crossover monster. A black artist collaborating with a white rock god in 1982, that didn't just break the rules. It scared the industry. But Michael didn't flinch. He welcomed the controversy and turned it into power. Then there was Billie Jean. Built on a hypnotic bass line and haunted lyrics, it was like nothing on the radio. Michael insisted on mixing it 91 times. Not to fix it, but to get it exactly right. Every breath, every cymbal hit, every whisper of reverb, it was placed with surgical precision. Because to Michael, Billie Jean wasn't just a song. It was a statement. A warning. A trapdoor into something darker. Even the ballads, like Human Nature, weren't traditional. They were ethereal, fragile, futuristic. And then came the title track, Thriller. Part disco, part horror movie, part Broadway. With a spoken word cameo by Vincent Price that turned a Halloween gimmick into a cultural anthem. But it wasn't just the variety that made Thriller revolutionary, it was the intention. Michael didn't want a few radio hits. He wanted every single track to be unforgettable, to live on dance floors, movie trailers, and playlists for generations. And somehow, he did it. Every track on Thriller still pulses with urgency. It doesn't sound like the 80s. It sounds like now. Before Thriller, music videos were just commercials, low-budget promo clips designed to sell singles. Most were forgettable, and MTV? Still figuring itself out. But Michael Jackson looked at the medium and saw something totally different. A stage. A canvas. A revolution waiting to happen. He didn't want to make music videos. He wanted to make cinema. And that's exactly what he did.
Yes.
The Thriller music video wasn't just a video. It was a 14-minute, big-budget horror short, directed by an American werewolf in London's John Landis. It had a script, choreography, special effects, and a full film crew. The budget? Over $500,000. At the time, that was insane.
Yeah,
no one was
then.
spending that kind of money on a music video. Labels thought it was a waste. MTV thought it was a gamble. Michael didn't care. He knew what he was doing. He was creating something unforgettable. Zombies, werewolves, graveyards. This was pop culture colliding with pure theater. And in the middle of it all, Michael, in that iconic red jacket, moonwalking through the madness with absolute control. When the video dropped, it stopped time. People didn't just watch it. They scheduled their night around it.
I remember the first time I saw the Thriller video. I was with my older brother, and we were going to spend the night over our cousin's house, and they had recorded it, and from MTV, and so back when they, with VCRs, some of y'all probably don't know what a VCR is, but anyway, they played it, right, and I'm like 5, 6, 7 years old, somewhere around there, and the first time I saw it, it gave me nightmares. Him morphing into this werewolf, and his voice changing from regular Michael. I'm different. I'm not like anybody. And then get away, like that scared the living bejesus out of me. And what made it even worse is that my cousins, the room that we were sleeping in, they slept with the door open, and it was dark, and they had a Michael Jackson poster on the wall. So I didn't sleep that night, to say the least. I was petrified. That's what that music video did to me. It doesn't bother me now, obviously. But then it scared the living bejesus out of me.
It aired in prime time. It sold out theaters. It was the first music video to be treated like an event. And suddenly, everything changed.
Yep.
Music videos weren't filler anymore.
Nope.
They were front page. Artists couldn't just stand in front of a camera and sing. Now they had to perform.
Yes.
Tell stories. Build worlds. Michael had raised the bar so high,
Woo!
Most artists couldn't even see it. And the craziest part? This was just one video.
That's
from
all.
an album that had several. Billie Jean turned sidewalks into light shows. Beat It staged a West Side Story-style gang showdown. Thriller created a whole new genre, the music video spectacle. From that moment on, videos became essential. Labels increased budgets. Directors became celebrities. MTV's identity transformed overnight. Michael didn't just dominate the music video space. He invented what we now expect from it. In the early 80s, MTV was white. Not officially, but undeniably. Rock acts, new wave bands, and synth pop groups filled the rotation. Black artists. Practically invisible. Not because the talent wasn't there, but because the gatekeepers didn't think black music fit the format. It was coded language. And it sent a message: if you're not white and playing guitars, you don't belong here.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson shattered that idea. But it wasn't easy. When Billie Jean was released in 1983, CBS Records pushed MTV to air the video. MTV refused. They didn't think it would resonate with their audience. That's when CBS President Walter Yetnikoff stepped in, and he didn't play nice.
Nope.
He threatened to pull every CBS artist from the network unless they aired Billie Jean. No more Springsteen. No more Billy Joel. No more hitmakers. Period. MTV caved. And the moment Billie Jean hit the screen, everything changed. It wasn't just the song, it was the style. The fedora. The glove. The moonwalk. The sidewalk lighting up with every step. Michael didn't just appear on MTV. He took it over. Within weeks, viewership exploded. Young fans, black, white, everyone, couldn't get enough. MTV realized what they had been missing: the biggest artist in the world. And it wasn't long before Beat It and Thriller followed, each one a mini blockbuster. Each one more popular than the last. Michael didn't ask for inclusion, he forced it. And in doing so, he kicked open the door for a generation of black artists who had been locked out. Prince, Whitney, Janet, LL Cool J. Their paths to MTV were paved by Thriller. But it wasn't just about airtime. It was about legitimacy. Before Michael, black artists had to fight for scraps. After Thriller, they were front and center. Headlining, dominating charts, selling out arenas. And MTV? It became what it was always meant to be, a reflection of all of pop culture, not just one piece of it. Michael Jackson didn't just make the system work for him, he rewired it. And he didn't do it with protests or press releases. He did it with art so powerful, so undeniable, that even the most closed doors had no choice but to swing wide open. When Thriller dropped in late 1982, no one, not even Michael, could have predicted what was about to happen. At first, the album rose steadily. Then Billie Jean exploded. Then Beat It. Then the Thriller video dropped. And suddenly, the album wasn't just a hit, it was a phenomenon. It wasn't climbing the charts, it was owning them. Let's talk numbers, because this is where things get ridiculous.
Yeah.
Thriller became the first album in history to produce 7 top 10 singles. It stayed in the Billboard Top 10 for 80 consecutive weeks, a year and a half.
Yeah.
It topped the Billboard 200 for 37 weeks. And globally, it sold over 70 million copies, officially the best-selling album of all time. But this wasn't just about sales. It was about reach. Everywhere you went, Thriller was playing. Radio, malls, schools, car stereos.
Y'all gotta understand, man. This was before the age of digital music, right? That was before MP3s. This is when you literally had a big disc inside of a case that you had to, fold out like this, and you had to have a record player in order to play the music back then, or you had to have an 8-track player, or they came out with then they would come out with cassette players. You have to have a cassette player to play it. This was before CDs came out, right? This was long before then. And then when the CDs dropped, it sold even more. And so Thriller was before the internet. Like, this was just word of mouth. This wasn't like you watch it on TV, but if you didn't hear somebody else playing it or you didn't see it on TV, you didn't know about it. It was in, obviously you had magazines, but there was no internet, right? So for him to sell music like that is just unheard. Nobody was doing that then. Not Elvis, not Elton John, not the Beatles. Nobody was doing that. Not Diana Ross. Nobody was doing that. Not Cher. Nobody was doing it like Michael, man.
Weddings, clubs, sports arenas. Even people who didn't own the album knew every word. And it wasn't just dominating the pop charts. It crossed over into every demographic. Kids loved it. Adults loved it. Rock fans respected it. R&B fans owned it. Even critics who had previously dismissed Michael as a teen pop act had to admit it. Thriller was untouchable. The album even made it into the Guinness Book of World Records multiple times. It swept the 1984 Grammys, taking home 8 awards in one night. That kind of sweep was unheard of. Michael didn't just win awards. He rewrote the record books. It got to a point where the industry had to create new categories just to separate Thriller from everyone else.
Right,
it was the gold standard, and everyone else was just playing catch-up. But here's what made it truly revolutionary. Thriller wasn't a trend. It didn't ride a wave, it created one. And then it became the tide that carried all of pop culture forward. It redefined success. After Thriller, the question wasn't, can you make a hit album? It became, can you make a thriller? And the truth is, no one ever really has. Thriller wasn't just an album, it became a blueprint. A North Star for every artist who came after. From the moment it dropped, a new bar was set. Not just for sound, but for everything: visuals, choreography, ambition, global reach. If you were an artist in the 80s, 90s, or even today, chances are, Thriller was the album that showed you what was possible. And you can see it in the biggest names in music. Beyoncé? Her visual albums, massive stage productions, and obsession with perfection are all echoes of Thriller. Usher? His dance-heavy videos, slick production, and pop R&B hybrid style? Straight from the MJ playbook. Justin Timberlake? His solo career is basically a modern reinterpretation of what Michael built, down to the military jackets and genre fusion. The Weeknd? His cinematic videos, retro aesthetic, and dark pop storytelling feel like Thriller reimagined for a new generation. And that's just the mainstream. Michael's influence went beyond pop and R&B. He reached into rock, hip-hop, fashion, even K-pop. Artists across genres studied Thriller like it was gospel. Because Michael didn't just create music, he created moments. He showed artists that every performance, every video, every tour could be an event. Something audiences didn't just listen to, but experienced. His concerts were theatrical. His storytelling was visual. His songs weren't just catchy, they were cinematic. Before Thriller, artists dropped albums and hoped for radio play. After Thriller, albums had to come with a vision, a world, a legacy. Even today, artists are still chasing the standard he set, whether they admit it or not. And that's the thing, you don't have to sound like Michael to be influenced by him.
Yep.
You just have to be trying to do something bigger than the music. And no one proved that was possible better than the man behind Thriller. Some albums get old. Some fade out with time.
Not Thriller.
Thriller? It just refuses to die.
It's
More than
still
40 years
selling, man.
later, it's still everywhere.
selling.
Every Halloween, that eerie Vincent Price laugh echoes through parties, playlists, and store speakers. Every year, Thriller climbs back into the charts, decades after its release. No marketing push. No reissue required. It just reappears. Like a ghost with a groove. And the dance? Still iconic. Entire flash mobs perform it in full zombie makeup. Toddlers try to moonwalk before they can tie their shoes. Sports teams use Beat It for hype videos. Commercials, video games, halftime shows, it's all soaked in Thriller's DNA. But the legacy isn't just in the charts or the choreography. It's in what the album proved. That pop music could be taken seriously. That a black artist could dominate every market, globally. That one record could be more than songs. It could be a cultural moment. And let's not forget, the entire music industry changed because of this album. Labels started investing in bigger video budgets, more elaborate stage shows, broader crossover marketing. Why? Because Thriller showed them what happens when you go all in. It's not just nostalgia. It's impact. Michael turned pop into performance art. He didn't follow trends, he made them irrelevant. And even today, in the age of streaming and TikTok virality, artists are still trying to figure out the formula he perfected back in 1982. Because Thriller isn't just the best-selling album of all time. It's the most important. It proved music could move the world. And it did. Thriller didn't just change music. It changed everything. How albums are made, how videos are shot, and how legends are born. If you felt that impact too, make sure to hit subscribe, because the stories behind it.
J-Rocc says this, if you were not around to experience Thriller, that's completely understandable. But even if you were not around, you know what Thriller is. All right, no matter if you were born in the 2000s, the 2010s, you know what Thriller is, and you know who Michael Jackson is. All the artists that you're seeing now, from Usher to Chris Brown, to Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, Weeknd, the list just goes on. Amarion, Genuine, these people grew up watching Michael, and they took from what he did, not just with Thriller, all right, but after that he had Bad, and then he had Dangerous. He just kept pushing it further and further, and people just kept pulling for what Michael was doing, because nobody was doing it the way Michael was doing it. I don't know which other ways to tell you, man. All the artists that you're hearing now, man, Michael, rock and roll, they took from Mike, man. Mike became bigger than genres. They couldn't lock him inside of a R&B or a pop or a rock and roll, because he was bigger than all of them. And then when he started breaking records set by Elvis, set by the Beatles, and all those other, predominantly white artists, that's when they started telling lies on Mike. They started trying to ruin this man's reputation, because he was just so huge, there was no stopping. That's how big he got. And so then came the lies about, his lifestyle and, him messing with children and, things that were never proven true. But many people believed him because they just kept saying it. And so, it was just propaganda in order to ruin the man. And sadly, him passing away at the age of 50, when he was going to go on his This Is It tour. It's just sad how it ended for him. But Thriller changed the game. And it changed it forever. There won't ever be another Michael Jackson. I don't care how big y'all think Taylor Swift is, how much you love Chris Brown, how many of you are part of the Beehive or Bayhive or whatever hive it is. There won't ever be another Michael Jackson. Ever. Go watch it, how this man would literally go to war-torn countries and shut it down, and people were fainting and passing out. on when he would just literally stand there. Michael Jackson turned grown men into groupies. Like hardcore thugs were yelling, Michael! It was insane. Go back and watch the 2003 BET Awards when he came on stage to present James Brown with the Lifetime Achievement Award. Watch how the room just flipped when they realized who was on stage. Go back and watch it. It's on YouTube. Watch how Michael shut it down. James Brown became overshadowed when Michael Jackson came on stage, brother. And Mike grew up loving James. That's who he got his inspiration from. He became bigger than James. The student became the teacher, man. I can go on all day talking about Mike, but I'm not going to. All right. Y'all know the drill. All right. Post your comments down below. Let J-Rocc know what star's reaction to this video. No rhyme intended on that line. If you enjoyed J-Rocc's reaction, hit that like button, subscribe, and share. Make sure you hit that bell so you can be notified when it is time to be electrified. Thank you for joining J-Rocc. Stay tuned to the next video. Mamba, GG, and Wakanda forever. If you smell la 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 la, what J-Rocc is.